Hi guys, John Scott here for WrestleLine and of course with Matt, and really excited to have two guests with us today. None other than Taylor Essex and Jack Toreno. How you doing, guys?
Hello. Yeah, we're doing really good. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're both good. We're not so enjoying the weather so much, but what can you do in the UK? It's getting that time of the year again. So obviously you two both must be quite busy at the moment. I'm presuming you've got lots going on with dates, independence, but what is, I suppose, a typical schedule for you two at the moment in terms of like how much you're doing and performing wise on a weekly basis?
What do we average? What do we average a month?
I think it depends, because we have like tag stuff and then single stuff, but I'd say an average weekend is at least one or two, like at least sort of thing. I was thinking this in the way over like how many hours do you reckon we spend in the car together?
Too many hours. Too many hours in the car. But it's good, and on the same road as well.
Oh,
like
yeah.
a lot of the same roads as well. But like, you know, wouldn't change it though. Wouldn't change it.
So I'd probably say for us, obviously training during the week as much as we can, get to different places, and then the weekend. Yeah, I mean, I'd say Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, sometimes when we have all three, it's very much like we might as well just be living together.
Yeah, living in the car.
Yeah.
Easier.
Yeah, so I mean, it's wherever we can. I mean, it's odd. Sometimes we will do like 3 shows on a weekend, and they're really close and nice and easy. But then other times, we once had one where it was Friday was it was in Birmingham, then back to, so we done Birmingham on the Friday, back, and then Saturday was Peterborough and back, and then Sunday was Yarmouth and back.
A lot of miles.
So that was like an annoying one. And there's other times where literally we'll have 3 shows within an hour's drive. So I think it's getting to the stage where like an hour and a half drive is nothing now. It's getting easy. It's easy because
I feel like that scene in Mr. Big.
You suddenly just shrunk. What happened to you?
Does it go lower? Does it sink any lower?
I hope it doesn't. Anyway, I might be better standing at this rate.
Well,
Yeah, so it's a lot of miles you do together, and I always have questions. Do you have arguments in those times? Is that because there's a lot of time to spend with like whoever it is, no matter how well you get on with somebody. Sometimes, especially after a wrestling event.
I don't think we've argued.
No.
I think it's like, to be fair,
We've had like heated discussions about like about how like matches have gone, or like just difference of opinion. But then like that's why we get on so well, is because we can like sit there in the car and like we can hash out our like differences and that, and like we're open about it. Like there's no like nothing hold back, you know.
we say that, but then at the same time, it's not. This wasn't an argument, but it's like we talk. If we haven't seen each other, like for us, not seeing each other for like 4 days is a long time.
Right.
So it got to, like when you said that, like conversations, it just reminds me of. So my little boy was heavily into Kung Fu Panda for like a week, and I'm not just talking the films. There's a Netflix show and everything. So I get in the car with Jack, and it's like, so what have you done? How's your week been? Has it been the 3 days since I last saw you? And then I'm like, oh wait, I've watched every bit of Kung Fu Panda ever. And then Jack made the mistake of mentioning that he's never seen it.
Yeah, never seen Kung Fu Panda.
For the whole drive is just me explaining everything. So like talking him through, well, this is what happened in the first
Every
film.
stage.
And so that was one conversation we've had.
That's got like an hour of time.
Yeah. I just think arguments like we don't really argue. I mean, we luckily like the way we think about wrestling is quite similar. Like we have the same sort of ideas. Like for instance, coming up with sequences or like moves. A lot of the time,
the way we put our stuff together, and just like our mindset in general, just in terms of like the rest of the business, we're quite similar. So it's just like a perfect match made in heaven, us two.
Yes, the bestest of buddies.
Me and Matt, we both saw this, some of this like stuff that you're talking about putting things, but you seem like you're, Taylor, you in particular, seem like you really care. You're very passionate about your matches to the point where you'll really analyse everything you've done.
Oh yeah.
Like, and that's something I can just, as an observation, we can really see how much, like, doesn't matter how small the crowd is or how whatever the event is, you'll take quite a lot of like care in what goes on and what you look like as a performer and how it comes off.
You see, like, my main thing was I always thought that you never know who's watching. There can be like 12 people in the crowd, but if like they all then tell one person, it'll build up and build up. And when it comes to like putting the match together, we said this, I think it was yesterday, we said this is like, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what is happening, wrestling is so one of those things that it's so like, because when it comes to the show day, nothing else is more important, to me anyway, show day, nothing else is more important than the match going well and the show doing well. Like, so no matter what's on your mind, I can always focus on that. And I feel like with the match as well, I'm very like picky and like with myself anyway, because I want to make sure everything looks good. I don't want anything to look like, even like the tiniest thing, I'll be a bit like, oh, that didn't go well, or like how you picture stuff in your head.
Yeah.
And I know Jack's the same with certain, like when we come up with like running spots and like sequences together, again, it sort of clicks in the same way that I can talk something to Jack and he sees it the same way as me. But if I talk it to someone else, they might see it slightly different. So I think when we're coming up with stuff like that, as much as it's good to jump in the ring and practice stuff, 99% of the time we're both on the same page with stuff like that anyway, which helps, especially with tag stuff, because you watch certain teams and you think like Revival, like Usos, like Young Bucks, you think, oh wow, they make everything look so easy and flow really quickly, and you're like, well, that's because they've gone over it, like they know exactly where the other one's going to be. And I think with tag stuff, like, you don't want to be tripping over each other, you don't want to be, that's why I think I'm so particular, even when planning stuff. I'm like,
that's something that's natural, or do you have to work on teamwork?
It depends. Like certain teams, we're able to like just chat backstage and get the stuff down, and then we can go out there and everyone's in the position we all think you are. And there's other teams where you sometimes feel like we should have walked this through because there's a bit of tripping over each other.
Yeah.
But I think it comes with like experience and how long people have been tagging, like,
and chemistry as well. Because before we become a team, like we used to like wrestle each other loads, and that there was really really good chemistry there. So we just took that and carried it on, like, to the team. And like there was like a couple of like things we needed to iron out.
Yeah.
But like the chemistry's always been there between the pair of us, and like that issue of tripping over each other's feet never have been a problem.
Yeah, I mean,
never been a problem.
I think it helps as well that we're not just like carbon copies of each other. I didn't want to be that in a tag team. Like, I didn't just want to be two guys that are just like the same.
The assassins.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
moves.
Yeah, so it's nice that I think that we're different enough, but we're also not too different that we look like a thrown together team.
Yeah.
You know, we are a team, but at the same time, we're not just like, you know, one and two. Like, as in, we're different in that respect, and I think like styles complement each other.
Yeah, it comes across.
That's why we've wrestled each other. It feels like 4 million times because it works. So teaming together works as well, I feel. So
cool. Now, both of you, like, I'll start with you, Jake. Like, who, as you was growing up in watching wrestling, who was some of the guys you were looking to, like some of your fan favourites, and then also when you started training to be a wrestler, because I always think people have a different perception of wrestlers when they start learning it themselves and they see things differently. Who were some of those guys that you watched a little bit more to learn as well?
When I was growing up, like, because I'm only like relatively young, but like my brother was like a huge wrestling fan, so like I got to watch, like, had like the opportunity to have like loads of VHSs of like a load of the old stuff, as well as like watching like the Attitude Era at the time and that. So like my big influences, or the ones that I were big fans of, obviously like Triple H, The Rock, Triple H, The Rock, the Hardy Boys, Dudley Boys, that sort of era. But then like I could appreciate guys like Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, Ultimate Warrior, Rick Rude, like had so much access from such a young age to like wrestling. So I had like loads and loads of hours of entertainment just watching wrestling from all over the place. Massive. I was always like I always appreciated like the bad guys more. I always appreciated like the heels, just because I enjoyed the fact that they pissed me off so much, or like got to be mad. So then when whoever the baby face would be, when they could come back, and be like, oh my god, kick their ass, you know. But it's always like a mutual respect there, you know. When I started getting training and getting into it, I watched people that I wanted, that spoke to me the most.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started, it would be like a combination of guys like Roddy Piper,
Mm-hmm.
Brian Pillman, Dean Ambrose, that kind of character. But then I would also be into guys like Daniel Bryan, Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho. Also like weird, I don't say weird, but like guys like Stan Hansen, Bruiser Brody.
Yeah, I love those guys.
Who's the Japanese guy?
Who's the Japanese guy?
The one that you sent me the clips of, like the comedy.
Oh, he wrestles under King Kataru now, but he does like he was Ebisan over in like Japan. The ones I saw you, that's like comedy style of wrestling out in Japan that I love that.
So it's a total variety there of people.
Oh, absolutely, because like wrestling's a variety show.
Mm-hmm.
I've always viewed like wrestling as a variety show. So you need all like you need all of like the different acts and people and personalities and styles. You know, there's a little flavour for everyone. It's like we're like even if like as wrestling fans, because we're still like fans. Even though that we wrestle like every weekend or as often as we can, like we're still fans. So like, and we all enjoy at least like one like style of wrestling, if not all of them, you know. But that's just what makes it entertaining, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like you're watching. I think it also like depends what you're watching at the time as well. Like I try and keep up to date with stuff as well, don't you? So it's like what's doing well, then also what people aren't doing, because then you don't want to be carbon copies of like. As much as I love Progress, I'm not going to start doing all the Progress guys' stuff, because at the same time it's like, well then, you're not going to get there if you're just copying someone who's already there. Why would someone bring you in if you're just going to do, you know, Paul Robinson's moveset, because they've already got Paul Robinson. No one's going to do it as well as Paul. So
it's interesting you said about keeping up to date with wrestling, because there's so much out there these days. It is difficult to actually keep on top of just how much there is.
Yeah.
Is it difficult for you to pick and choose what you?
I think it's more of like, so I'll be honest, I won't sit down and watch Raw and SmackDown and things like that. It's more of if someone goes, like for instance, someone told me Young Bucks versus Private Party was really good, so I went and watched that. Someone was saying watch this match. I watched some of the New Japan show recently, but yeah, as in I think my girlfriend would kill me because I'm not watching it or doing it or talking about it. You know, I think if I was then like, no, I'm gonna set aside some time to watch all of Raw, all of SmackDown.
Yeah, it's a heavy commitment.
Not enough hours in the day.
I won't be able to fit all the
week.
All the Kung Fu Panda films in.
No, not all the Shrek films.
And the same for you. Like, who were some of the wrestlers you were looking at when you was younger? That you was like brought up on, that you enjoyed as a fan.
So I started watching wrestling like when I was like year 6, however old that makes you.
About 11.
10, 11, yeah. So that was when it was like Jeff Hardy had just doing the title reign, like just won Armageddon and all that, when he won the title and then feuded with Matt. But the reason I like Jeff Hardy was some kid brought in like a wrestling annual to school, and he was the first person I saw when I opened the page, like was Jeff Hardy. So I watched that, and then I basically just I just love Jeff Hardy. And then I stopped watching it when he left WWE, so I literally watched it for like a year maybe, and then missed all the CM Punk stuff, missed all of the Rock coming back, and then I rewatched, and then when I started watching it again was the Raw after Mania when it was Cena Rock 2, and then watched it, kept up to date with it since then. But I don't know, as in like people. I hated Edge. I fully hated Edge. Like I thought he was the biggest dick in the world, and then got into wrestling, and then sort of love him now. And even some like thrown together tag teams, I like watching just to see how people do stuff differently. But then I go through phases. Like sometimes I love doing tech, and other times I'll just be like, no, let's start with one spot. I don't know. I'm just very changes on the day.
That's one big difference between us when we put matches together. So like he'll like in his own mind, and like he'll go off and like he will go through every single bit that he wants to go through, like in the match, like all in like, and he'll do that over and over and over again. Where I'll go through it like once or twice, and then I'll be like, I don't want to know anymore. I don't want to know anymore because I want it to be as natural as possible, you know.
He's so, for someone who, I think I have a decent memory, but for someone who can literally, we go to Jack, okay, we'll do this, and this, and he goes, yeah, okay, cool, and then walks away. And then there's me, like, wrestling no one, like, in the corner of the room somewhere, and I'm just like...
doing interpretive dance.
Yeah, like, I'm like, grab them here, and there's Jack just, like, chilling over in the other corner, just talking to someone, or having a coffee, or, you know, I don't know, like, just doing what he does. And then there's me just the other time, who's... in my head had done this match like 300 times, but then also I think it works for us though. Like Jack can just do it like that. I do need to go over it a couple of times, but then once I've got it. I'm very much like, I don't like to. I know there are some people that will try and be like, yeah, I've got it, and, you know, and then forget it out there. So I'd rather just, even though if I am like, leave me alone for 10 minutes, please. I can get it down, but then I know that out there is fine.
So, question probably a lot of our viewers want to know is, how did you guys meet? Do you remember that first time, or where that was? And
I remember the first time I saw him, like not necessarily
me. Like first impressions, I guess.
Creepy.
First time I saw you, it was your first singles match.
Oh no!
It was your first singles match. He was like the opening match. I was sitting in the crowd with my girlfriend at the time and a couple of mates. It was his first match, and
so bad.
It ended in about 6 minutes.
Right.
About 2-3 minutes through, you got concussed from taking like a really bad
I took a powerbomb as the cut off. That's how bad the match was, and I got concussed.
Yeah, and he got concussed, and it just like kind of fell down from there. But I could like tell like there and then is like, yeah, he's got passion for it, like because he like got concussion and carried on going for like 4 or 5 minutes, you know, like he's got like a passion for it. And then I properly met him at my first training session, which was a Mal Sanders seminar. Who, if like you don't know who Mal Sanders is, he used to like wrestle like World of Sport back in the day. And then I was like really, really shy because I was just trying to like be respectful when I'm not knowing what I'm doing. He comes like bounding up and like starts chatting to me like nobody's business, making me feel like comfortable and stuff, make me feel like a bit like accepted into the wrestling fold, and then we just hit it off from there.
Now, for you two going forward, like, do you set goals, or do you not set like small goals, big goals, of where you want to see your guy, like yourselves at, or, and is that going to be as a team, or is there separate ones aside as well that you have that you might talk to each other about that you kind of want to get to, or?
For me, it's just not like specific, not necessarily like specific places that I want to like go as a goal. It's more just let's just get as busy as possible. Let's get as physically possible, no matter like how many like coffees I drink. Like as a single and as a tag team, like just get as busy as possible and like learn and work and then like the rest will come. That makes sense. Like the more that we wrestle elsewhere as singles, and then like together like as a team, like the more I'm convinced in my own head that like the more that our opportunities will come, because like we're just going to continue getting better and better and better, you know.
Sure. Until
people have no choice but to take notice of us, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that. Yeah, that's a really way of putting it, because I feel I don't want to be sort of the person like penciled in as a certain spot, as in at the same time it's nice when people recognise us as like, oh, you guys, you know, people are wanting to wrestle us, like or people like it's nice when someone's excited and they find out they're wrestling us, and
Yeah.
we're the same. We've like certain people, we find out we're wrestling, we're like, oh yeah, that's really good. Like straight away have ideas pop in your head, but yeah, that's quite nice as well when you hear people saying, I want to wrestle you, or you hear through other people, oh, he was really nervous about wrestling you two. And you're like, that's really nice to hear.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's when like when promoters are coming up to us saying like, oh, that tag match was great, or
we got big plans for you.
Yeah. Or that should have given you more time, or something like that. You know, as in like to do even better, or
hell, like we should have been main event.
Yeah, we had that before. It was like that should have been the main, and I was like, that was really nice. Or like even like there was one show where he done like a hype video of the whole show, but then went and done a hype video just of our match, because he was like, there was so much I wanted to put in the main hype video that I thought I might as well just make a second music video just for your match, which was really nice.
Yeah.
So things like that is showing that the hard work's paying off, and and it's like people like bigger names are saying, "Oh, it'd be cool to wrestle you guys,"
because it's really like nice and humbling to know that like we've like worked hard not only as like singles and as a team, and like we've building that momentum to the point where like people want to wrestle us and want to create like magic with us. You know, it's really nice and humbling to know.
And I'm interested to know, because like the way the British wrestling scene is at the minute, I think that there's a lot going on every weekend. Like I can't believe how much there is at the moment. But here in Essex, there's a really big boom period at the moment. Like everybody's talking about, even in London and from the Midlands, when some of the guys I spoke to from All Star were saying that there seems like so much down this end. They wish they had like just guys like us just go into the events and stuff up there, because it doesn't seem as frantic as it is here at the moment. But I mean, you've got like independent wrestling, and then you've got what I would call real independent wrestling underneath that, where it's like almost two layers all of a sudden, because there's so much. How do you guys feel? Because like people sit very differently on this, on the whole NXT UK stuff. And do you take that as like bad for you guys going up, like being in the trenches where you are? You're obviously the guys that are in the locker rooms. Like, how's the perception for you? Do you see that as a positive thing, or not such a positive thing?
I think just wrestling in general is positive.
Yes.
Like
absolutely.
I know people who dream. Like I've known like someone who's on NXT UK consistently. Like they wanted that dream, and it's nice to see them have it. Same as it's putting people on a bigger stage, and I feel that there's going to be people that are ready to step up when people's like there's all this like is killing British wrestling. It's not, and I feel like people like OJMO have proved that in the fact that people obviously Pete Dunne and those sorts of guys, they've gone to NXT, and that's what they want to do. It's, it's their dream. Like, I don't think people should get heated when people are achieving their dreams, but then people are moving up and like going to these bigger shows, and then people like OJMO are doing so well to, like, you look at that, he's just as over as as anyone now, and he's done that himself, and you know what I mean, like all these shows that like are drawing fan bases. There are people that will be as passionate about some of the indie shows and smaller shows as they are about watching sometimes more. You know what I mean? Like a Progress fan is some of them are so much, they care about they don't care what's happening main roster, they care about Progress, and then even works on a smaller scale. There are people that I know don't really care for watching it on TV, they just love coming to live shows, and I feel like as long as more wrestling can't be a bad thing. That's how I look at it anyway.
It's healthy. It's healthy because it gives like more option for fans to go to, like, so they can like watch like more on TV or like on their phones or however they watch it. But then it's also as a result of that, there's also, like as you said, like in Essex alone, there's like so much going on every weekend, and I think that's healthy because people can come and watch live wrestling every weekend or every other weekend. It just makes the whole wrestling scene healthy, or like loads of different places to work, many more opportunities, many more like goals if NXT UK or NXT or the main roster of WWE is the goal.
You can change maybe your style in the ring, But then how do you prepare for stuff outside the ring, like talking on the mic or like getting the crowd going? How do you...
You get a tag partner that can talk
Oh,
really well,
okay.
and then I just stand there.
who like a lot of the time doesn't have much of a filter and will just be like, okay, what are we going to talk about? Okay, cool, and then just go like blah 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 blah.
And I just stand there looking.
Just go nuts.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things because with wrestling, it kind of comes as a package, and I get the feeling sometimes some promoters think that should just happen, natural, but it's not quite as simple as that. Like, you really have to find your character, and you don't want to be too overscripted because then that makes you even more nervous to trip up on stuff.
I think it depends where you're working, because like some promoters will favour characters, and other promoters just like, I just want 6 good wrestling matches, and some are like, let's do the story, and all like some shows we've done before where there's like these stories and it's like that's what's keeping them interested, and I've done other shows where it's like, I want everyone to try and have that 5-star match, you know, like, so it all depends, and that's what keeps them interested. And then some shows obviously have a great blend of both. There you go, that was hard to say.
What do you prefer yourself? Do you like both of you?
I like both. I like when you can have a really good, a fun match and try to go all out because of storyline purposes. But like sometimes when it's a bit really over gimmicky and stuff, I find it a bit hard for character stuff. At least I do. But when like you can try it, when you have a good story that then you can put it into the match as well, it makes the match easier to plan because you've already got a story set because of the...
Sure. Like, to end up on some of this interview, tell us a little bit about Triumph and where you guys, or where you personally, is it yours or are you both involved with that, or
so it's
as a promotion?
We're both involved, and one other is involved with Triumph. It started off with him coming to me saying, "Do you want to run a wrestling show?"
Right.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah.
And that
So that you get one or the other answer there.
Well, yeah, that all come about because the venue was just there and it wasn't being used for certain reasons, and I was just like, well, I'm sure we can. This someone can do something with this.
Yeah.
So I put it forward to a couple of people. Hey, do you want to run this place? And for different reasons, they didn't want to run it. And then it got to about like 6 months later, and I was like, you know what? It's just sitting here. I was like, even if we just do it once, a part of me wanted to prove we could. You can draw there. You can do it well.
And also like, because with this was also like based off of conversations that we'd had, that like we'd felt like we'd seen the same matches across like loads of other different promotions,
right? And
we was like, well, why not, if we ever run our own show one day, why not like produce like different, not only like different matches, but also like give opportunity to others to have like matches to help like build them up and give them experience. And then like through like a series of those like conversations on top of like the venue just sitting there, Triumph was born. The three of us sitting there in McDonald's.
Yeah, I got a parking ticket for that because we was in there for over like 90 minutes.
You'll keep that forever now.
Yeah.
Right.
I've got a picture on my phone somewhere of the original Triumph card written on a McDonald's receipt.
Yeah.
I can see a gimmick match coming.
Yeah, but it was literally, but the thing is, like, the main idea of it was like not off of what Spike Trevay said, but I really agree with him when he said in a promo once, like, you're told to get better, you need to wrestle these bigger and better people. Well, how can I when they're all wrestling each other? And that really sort of stuck to me, thinking like, like, let's give people that. So we even done one match, and the pure base of that one match was, let's get someone from this training school, someone from this training school, and someone from this training school. Literally like miles and miles apart their training schools are, and put them in a triple threat.
Right.
Something like that. So it was like they'd never worked together before. And things like that.
Also like matches that were supposed to happen on that first show that like could have happened before, but for one reason or another like didn't, and we wanted to provide that for in Essex.
There's a couple matches that got cancelled that people wanted to do, like the boys involved really were looking forward to. So it was like, I think the fact, obviously we're not groundbreaking by being the first wrestlers to run a show, but as much as the crowd is a big part of it, the boys involved, like we want it to be worth their time as well, and we wanted them to sort of want to come and work for us as well. And yeah, I mean it's going well. We're gonna, I think we're saying next week we've got to do a sit down and start talking about February. It's the next one. So
and then like dates for next year as well.
Dates for next year, getting stuff sorted.
Cool.
So
yeah.
The juggling that and wrestling is fun, but it's because there's more of us as well, and we got people that are helping us. You know what I mean? Like, because, like, to be fair, the thing that shocked me the most was the amount of people that showed up to help on that first show and the second show. It was like people, like wrestlers, like workers, just coming to the show and wanting to help, and which was nice. And because I've been to other shows where you haven't got that, you haven't got all these other guys just show up to help. And that's what I thought was really nice as well, because people seem to care about it as much as we do. So,
yeah, cool. And where can we find you guys at for everybody on social medias?
So there is now a Rebellion Facebook page.
There's a Rebellion Facebook page. There's
team name.
Taylor Essex
and
Facebook page. He's on Insta as well.
Instagram, your Instagram as well.
Yeah.
I don't know the name off my heart.
So I'm sure you'll put like a nice little.
Someone took normal Taylor Essex. Some random girl is now has the Taylor Essex handle. So mine's like Taylor Essex and then something else at the end. So if some randomer took it, she's like, yeah. So I might DM her and be like, look, you've got like 4 followers. Can I just have that? Can I have the app, please?
Yes, for £2,000.
Yeah, yeah, probably.
Yeah,
and also Triumph is also on Facebook, Insta, and Twitter as well.
Yes, I'm on Twitter, but I'm terrible at Twitter. I never go on it. I just watch GIFs on there and like the occasional thing.
Just look at everybody else's stuff. Yeah, well, I want to thank you for your time, both of you, for coming down to WrestleLine.
Thank you for
having us down. It's been really good to see you.
There we go.
Which one am I shaking first? The ice cream or the other one? But yeah, thank you. See? Nah. He knows. Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.